So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are watching this video. Thank you for taking the time to be here. This video is about Project 2025 from an overview perspective, but more importantly, it's about solutions, what we can do as a community, the Black community, in the Black community specifically, grassroots communities and our groups in general, because this strategy most certainly will work for any grassroots group. This is about solutions per Project 2025. I've been doing research, events, live and online about Project 2025 for about a month and a half, 2 months now. A lot of information is coming out about it. If you don't know anything about it, I encourage you to do your own research. We have a page set up on our website that you can learn more about Project 2025, but it never hurts to do your own research. I've heard a few people talk about, not a few, I guess a fair amount of people Black people talking about how this is going to affect the Black community, but I've heard no one talk about solutions for the Black community. Everything I do, I try to make sure that not even try, everything I do, I have a solution attached to it. And if I don't have it, I'm probably not really talking about it because I need to make sure I'm offering not just information, but solutions. So this is about solutions that we, the Black community, can implement to move ourselves forward. I am always about trying to create a win-win. I would never offer to pay someone to help liberate our people, because if you have to pay them to be a part of what you're trying to do, someone else can pay them to do other things, anti what you're trying to do or infiltrate you. So I don't want to have people that are on board because they're getting paid. I think that's a bad move. However, I am always open to being able to compensate persons who are contributing because they want to see Black people move forward. And that compensation comes by way of the work that they put in to help us move forward. Ideally, we want all of our leadership persons, no matter what level they're on, to be receiving a weekly or monthly check from our efforts to help move the community forward. But that, like everything else, is a process. And this here is most certainly a win-win that we've created to ensure that those who come on board to help us make this thing a reality are actually not only helping in a positive way in a number of ways, but they're also building compensation. And the way that we have this set up, this is simply the beginning of being able to create a revenue stream from helping your people move forward. So I am going to share my screen and we're going to jump right into the presentation. If you don't know who I am, my name is Tamani Mwandani. I'm the founder of the Black Gold Nation. I'm also the founder of the GROW4CARE Alliance here in Houston, Texas. And I am the chairman of Paid Texas, which is our political party that we have to move ourselves and the community forward. So starting from the very top, I'm going to jump right into this thing, and hopefully it won't take me more than 25 minutes to get through it. I think it's on like 9 slides, so it shouldn't take that long. Thank you. If I didn't already say that, thank you for taking the time to be here. It matters when we show up for stuff, because when we show up, I believe that we can make anything happen once we put our minds to it and we commit ourselves to making that thing. So I think that's one of the things that makes us unique. Everything that we do, anything we involve ourselves in, we take it to the next level because it's simply what we do and who we are as a people. So starting from the very top, the Black Gold Nation presents Empowering 5,000 to Get 500, a From the Grassroots Community Reset. Who are the grassroots? I use that term often. You may have heard that term being used a lot, but let me clarify it, define it just for the sake of the presentation. The grassroots are quote, the ordinary people in a society, typically those at the bottom or the lowest rungs of society, and that is most certainly the majority of Black and brown communities. The Black reality in 2024.
In Africa, we got to understand colonialism. We live in Black communities in America are domestic colonies of a colonial capitalist system. And here's where they get you. They get you focusing on racism. And we have to, but racism is the ideology of capitalism. It is not the system. The system is capitalism, and then you have a socialist system, and communism is the utopian system that doesn't exist. You have communist parties in countries, but you don't have a communist government. So when we look at every black community, what is a domestic colony? A colony is when a foreign nation takes over a sovereign state and brings in its military and extracts from its natural resources from that land and the labor, slave labor. That's what colonialism is. So domestic colonialism means that we in black communities across this country, we don't have anything like Tulsa or Rosewood in the 21st century. There's no black community where we're in control of the land, the resources, the means of production, all of the social, cultural institutions like they had in Rosewood in the 1920s. So now we have none of that. We are over $1 trillion consumer market, and yet we have no community in the country that looks anything like Rosewood or Tulsa of the 1920s. And here we are in 2023. So
let me put a slick definition on it, Charles.
Project 2025 will make what Brother Charles Barron just said worse. It'll make it worse in a number of ways, but these are simply a few high-level bullet points. Project 2025 will make our reality as Black people in this country worse by eliminating and or relocating the jobs of over 50,000 federal employees, and about 15 to 20% of those employees are Black. It'll reverse 100 years of anti-discrimination progress, and that's anti-discrimination progress that we've made, Black people have made, to move ourselves and other groups as a result of our work to move ourselves forward. It moves them forward as well. They want to reverse 100 years of our success in doing that. They want to eliminate the Department of Education and redirect billions from the public education system to private and nonprofit educational systems. They want to eliminate billions from federal food programs for the young, elderly, and the poor. They want to impose additional work requirements for Medicaid recipients. They want to criminalize abortion, including the abortion pill. They want to revoke LGBTQ protections and criminalize discussions about LGBTQ issues. They don't even want you talking about it. They want to reverse student debt relief efforts. They want to reclassify 500,000 dreamers, and those are children who were brought here by their parents when their mother was pregnant and they were born here. Parents were illegal. Kids were born here, which should make them automatic American citizens. They want to reclassify over 500,000 of those dreamers to be illegal so they can either deport them or round them up in national efforts to put them in detention camps, which will be attached to the prison industrial complex here in the U.S. And they will either be sent back to the countries that their parents came from, or they will be kept in those prisons because the prison industrial complex is most certainly a multi-billion-dollar business. They want to abolish affirmative action and prosecute institutions that have DEI programs, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. So they don't want to just abolish these measures. They want to prosecute institutions that have these programs. They want to gut environmental regulations and clean energy initiatives. They want to censor the internet and criminalize pornography. They want to deploy the military for domestic law enforcement and illegal immigration roundups. They want to create a wider gap between the haves and have-nots and make it impossible for that gap to ever be closed. They want to Christianize America, which is not a good thing for us. And they want to create total chaos, which is a part of the plan. You can learn more about Project 2025 at our website. We most certainly have, I think at this point, 14 to 15 videos from different sources and an article and an interview, I think, that I did. So the information is there, but you don't necessarily have to get it from our website. You can most certainly do your own research. But this is a good starting point because all of the information is in one location. The chaos that they want to create. There is opportunity in chaos, always. But in order for one to take advantage of the opportunity caused by said chaos, one has to be ready, which means we have to mobilize and organize ourselves to be ready now for when the chaos comes into being. And that chaos is most certainly coming. If you're paying attention, you can already see it in a number of places. This chaos is going to allow us to reset the Black community. Why? It will allow us to reset the Black community because a lot of things are going to be disrupted in major ways, and a lot of people aren't going to know what to do. But if we mobilize and organize ourselves now, again, we'll be ready for that, and we will be able to reset the Black community in a positive way that will allow us to move the community forward in ways that we've never been able to do before. How we operate in our own spaces absolutely must change. We have to immediately begin working on spiritual and cultural classes and training. I don't care how good something sounds. I don't care how much sense it makes. I don't care how logical it is. I don't care how good it looks on paper. If we, melanated African descendants here in America who've been here for 400 plus years, if we don't have spirituality attached to that thing and right culture attached to that thing, it is not going to last. It is going to fail. We are a spiritual people by default. Our spirituality, our culture was taken from us when we were brought here, taken from us for those of us who are already here by the persons that run this planet now. And in order for us to be successful, we have to get back to what makes us special, get back to our superpower, which is our spirituality. And of course, we can't do that if we don't understand it, if we don't have it, if we're not creating it so that we can implement it. So we absolutely must have immediately spiritual and cultural classes and training. We have to have our own Federalist Society. The Federalist Society is a white think tank that's focused on laws and judges, getting judges elected to ensure that the America they want, they will have because they've put in the time. We need a Federalist Society that's looking out for the Black community as it relates to judges, as it relates to laws, as it relates to agendas, as it relates to public policy. This is most certainly a part of a long-term strategy, but all long-term strategies have a starting point. And we need to start focusing on having our own Federalist Society so that we can create the kind of democracy that we want, the kind of democracy that benefits us, so that this country is one that supports us and it's not destroying us. We need from the grassroots think tank, our own Federalist Society will be one of those think tanks. Project 2025 seeks to give the next Republican president, be that Donald Trump or someone else, complete authority over the executive branch of the country. The executive branch has underneath it 15 national departments that affects the lives of hundreds of millions of people. We need to have a think tank with departments focusing on each of those 15 national departments. So again, we can not only understand them, but we can shape them to benefit us. We absolutely must get away from thinking that government always has to be someone else. Government can most certainly be us, especially if we're the majority in a given space. That government can be us, but it will never be us if we don't have a plan for it to be us. We need to run our own political candidates for local office nationwide. Power for us has to start from the ground up. We can't build a house from the roof down. So having local political organization, mobilization, and power matters on a number of levels a great deal. So we need to be running our own candidates per our own party, per our own agenda. We can't rock with the Republicans. We can't rock with the Democrats. We need to be independent. That doesn't mean that we can't work with any political group. We just need to make sure that we have our own political group that's looking out for ourselves, our own best interests first. We need to have Saturday school for our youth immediately. Our youth are failing across the board in this country in a number of areas, but not just Saturday school to tutor and bring and shore up the weaknesses of our children and bring them up to par. We need to be teaching our children things that this current indoctrination system that they call an education system that they're currently not getting. They need to understand who and what they are. So history classes as to from whence they came and what they've accomplished as a people. They need to know that. They need to have classes on how to run business, how to be politically active, how to fix a car. I remember when I was in high school a number of years ago, I learned how to drive, how to fish, fired my first firearm, learned how to type, learned how to cook, learned how to sew, all in high school. I'm from South Carolina, all from high school. So we need to do what we can to bring back the trades, teaching our children on the weekends how to again fix a car, how to do carpentry, how to fix an AC unit, how to fix a plumbing issue. We need to add to the spiritual and cultural classes for the adults. Of course, the kids need that as well. So none of this stuff is going to be taught by other groups. It's not their job and they don't care. We have to step up as a community, take control of the development of our children from other people, and give them what they're never going to get from other institutions, because that's not the purpose of those institutions. We need to have local communiversities, a community university by which the community comes out to teach and prep and prepare the community on things that we need to move forward. So all those things that our youth need to know, our adults need to know as well. Everything Black people need, Black people already have, but we don't know it because we're not connected and we don't talk to each other. That absolutely must change because of what's coming. So a local communiversity is wide open, as all of these things are, for us to do. We simply need to mobilize and organize so that they are getting done. We need to have mandatory local business partnerships. If a business exists in a predominantly Black space, that business needs to be giving something back to the people, because the people are in desperate and dire need. We can't afford to allow businesses to continue to take economic and financial resources out of our communities. So we need to approach these businesses and help them to understand, look, you've done well here for as long as you've been here. We need you to give something back, not just for the sake of our children, but for the sake and survival and development of the community and the people here. And for those businesses who agree, amen, we continue to boogie forward and work with them to help support the community. But of course, everyone is not going to do that. So for those businesses who say thanks but no thanks, we need to at that point implement a 21st century boycott by which we starve them out of the community, because we will label them as an economic and financial predator, and we will let everybody know that we have needs. This business has been here for so long. They made approximately this amount of money. All of that information is easy to get. As a matter of fact, we already have a good bit of it for certain areas in Houston, Texas, which is where I am. And we let them know that they don't care about you. So don't do your business here, do your business elsewhere. That's going to create opportunity for not only businesses who are supporting us, but it will create opportunities for us as well, as we will be in a position to replace some of these businesses as we continue to mobilize and organize. So moving forward, we can't afford to give anybody a free pass, because the community is dying, the community has needs, and our children most certainly have needs. We need a farmers market and food system economics network. Everything that I'm talking about is local, if I didn't already say that. Everything, again, starts on a local level, moving up to higher levels. So we got to have a farmers market in local spaces where we live, so that we can not only grow our own food as much as possible, but we can generate a profit from the growth and preparation of those foods. Extremely, extremely, extremely important, because those that feed you, not only can they control you, but sometimes they use that to poison and destroy you. And of course, we can't allow that. We have to have local community investment partnerships. There are untold numbers of Black people, entrepreneurs who have invented a thing, who have excellent, awesome ideas. But because we don't have the economic and financial organization to fund these good ideas, to fund these inventions, they go to other groups, and I can't blame them for that. Even if they want to come to the Black community first, the Black community is not always, the Black community isn't, I won't say not always, isn't ready. We have to change that. We have to create a space by which people who are blessed with melanin like we are in the community, create a space by which they can come and make a pitch, just like Shark Tank. And if the pitch is viable, if they make it through our vetting process by our own business subject matter experts, then we invest in that business with the idea that it'll help that entrepreneur, that inventor, that business owner personally, both she help their family, but also help the community, as they will be able to employ other Black people and of course Black youth. Again, another wide open opportunity that we could take advantage of, but we have to be mobilized and organized to do so. We need conscious community centers. Everything that's on the slide, everything that we talk about doing in the GROW4CARE Alliance, we have to have space, our own institutional space by which these things can take place. So we need conscious community centers that are funded by our business efforts in the community. Again, wide open to do that we have the power to do, but we have to mobilize and organize to make that thing happen. We need master plan communities that we own, that we control, that we build, that we develop, not just apartment complexes, but we need master plan communities by which a person can buy a home. We can show them the best way to have ownership of that home and really put persons who are ready to do so in a better position to win, and then prepare them via education and training as to how to pass that ownership of that dwelling down to who's coming next in their family. These kinds of communities can be planned by us, again, if we are mobilized and organized to do so. And lastly, we need credit unions. We need to be able to not only invest and support businesses and entrepreneurs and inventors in our own communities that look like us in our own spaces, but we also need a place by which we can educate individuals and family members on financial management, how debt works, why one should stay away from credit cards, and all of that kind of stuff. If we better understood that it's less about how much you make and more about how much you keep, and then show our people how to keep that, then again, that's something that will benefit the individual, the family, and the community, which will benefit the overall mission. So from the intentional chaos that's going to be created on purpose by Project 2025, we can most certainly emerge anew, again, if we're ready to do so. The grassroots must lead. We must continually seek to enhance the power position of the community by creating a nation within a nation, coupled with a master plan to forever expand upon that power position. We absolutely must build power for eternity.
I think black people and black Christian nationalism says we have to approach the whole problem in terms of power. Black people have to begin to build institutions. Every institution that exists belongs to white people, was built by white people, and serves the interests of white people. And for black organizational leaders to be sitting there talking as though they have power, as though they represent something, we want to represent everybody, we want to bring everybody together, we want to build a beautiful America. We don't want to build no kind of beautiful America. We want power for black people, and we're going to fight for it. It's demands confrontation and the willingness to do everything necessary to get power. And we got to take it away from white people. White people are not going to give black people anything. Politically, economically, or any other way, black man is no longer necessary in America. And the white man is hell-bent on genocide. So we have to understand we've got to build institutional power to deal with the white man moving society to destroy.
We absolutely must build power for eternity. Empowering 5,000 to get 500. Empowering 5,000 to get 500 is about placing the From the Grassroots Booklet and Solutions Guide in the hands of 5,000 grassroots Black people so they can begin pushing back against Project 2025. So as I said initially, I've done a lot of research. We've had a few events, both on and offline. As a matter of fact, our Juneteenth event was a Project 2025 event by which we invited speakers out to speak about different aspects of Project 2025 and how it's going to affect the Black community in a number of areas. And again, I've seen Black people talk about Project 2025 and how it's going to affect Black people, which is good. But I didn't see anyone going into detail the way I felt it needed to be gone into that detail. And I didn't see anybody, Black, white, or otherwise, offering solutions for the community. So I put together a guide by which anybody can actually, but specifically a guide targeting Black people so that we can understand what this thing is, but more importantly, understand how we can organize ourselves to push back against it. Because it's one thing to know about a thing, but it's something entirely different to not only know about that thing, but know how to push back against that thing, or even benefit from that thing if that thing was not meant for you. So we must create the change we want and the change that we need. The guide is free. You simply need to go to our website, GROW4CARE.org, and download it. You don't have to pay any money. Take a little time, go there and download it for free. It's a 44-page guide with over 30 grassroots solutions, tangible, realistic, doable, that anybody can do, relatively simple, not necessarily easy, because we're dealing with a mindset that has been trained and conditioned to hate itself. So it's not necessarily easy, but it's most certainly simple. And all of it is attached to a larger picture, which will allow us to help you do what you want to do in the space where you live if you're not already in Houston. We want to put this guide in the hands of 5,000 grassroots Black people, with the goal of getting 500 of them to become members of the GROW4CARE Alliance. The membership is $65 a year. That will give us $32,000+, and that is what we will use to get our first Black Goal Conscious Community Center. Remember everything that I mentioned on the slide with the bullet points. We have to have a space, a physical space by which we can do all of that stuff. Having conscious community centers all over the country is a huge benefit for us. But of course, in order to do that, we have to have fun. So we're using this guide. That's free. No one has to become a member. But we're hoping that as a person goes through the guide, as they read the guide, they'll have not only an appreciation of us putting the guide together, but they will see the value and importance of becoming a member. And by them becoming a member, that not only allows us to do what we need to do, but then we can compensate those that brought that potential member to the movement. Remember, like I said in the beginning, I am all about creating win-wins as much as possible. And this is an example of a win-win. So a 10% goal of those 5,000 downloads is 500 Black people who are ready to do something as it relates to moving the community forward. We're looking for 100 Black people now to accept the challenge, if you will, of bringing 50 people to the movement who have not only downloaded the guide, who have begun to read the guide, who see the value and importance of what we're trying to do, but they also become a member. So membership, again, is $65 a year. $10 of that $65 goes back to the person who brought them to us. So 100 people at 50 downloads, that's $500 per person if they only get 50 people. We want all 5,000 to become members, but that's not going to happen because it's not realistic. However, all of those 5,000 downloads can become supporters by making a donation of $20 or more. They can do less, of course, but the goal is to get them to do at least 20. Of every $20 support donation, $2 goes back to the person that brought them to us, and if they become a member, $10 goes back to that person that brought them to us. So that $500 is really a base number. It can most certainly be more. And let me also add that this is just the beginning of the win-win relationship. Everything that we do as it relates to business, new businesses that we start, businesses that we take over, new inventions, new investments, everything that we do, a portion of those revenues, anything that we do that generates revenue, generates a profit, the persons that are a part of that thing being done, or the persons who bring that thing to us, they will get a percentage of those resources. So those resources. So we really want to rethink it. This is why it's so important that we reset the community. We got to rethink how we function in the spaces across the board, period, but especially if we're the majority. Because if we know that hundreds of millions of dollars flow through the spaces where we live, we absolutely must understand that that only happens because we give the hundreds of millions of dollars. And of course, some of those situations are people having businesses in distressed or depressed areas. A lot of times those areas are brown and Black, and they get money from the government for doing so. But again, this is why it goes back to us establishing relationships, because we need to get that entity, if they're getting money from the government, to give something back. But of course, across the board, every business that's in a predominantly Black space needs to give something back. And that giving back, a portion of that goes to the persons who help make that thing possible. So if hundreds of millions are flowing through, we need to get a percentage of it as an organization, as a people, as a community. But the individuals are part of that team that brought that thing to us. They need to also get their piece. So 500 grassroots Black people, folks, starting here in Houston, Texas, because that's where I am. That does not mean we can't have other grassroots from the grassroots operations in other spaces, because of course that's ideal. That's what we want. Remember, I'm the chairman of Paid Texas, so my goal is to make sure that we're winning elections all over Texas. So we got to have these teams anyway, and we're simply starting here in Houston because that's where I am. But that doesn't mean simultaneously we can't start in Austin, which is I have a very a close friend, a very knowledgeable and capable leader already in Austin. So he can most certainly do what we're doing here in Houston. As a matter of fact, based on what he does in Austin, I'm duplicating his efforts here in Houston. So it doesn't have to only be in Houston. I'm only saying Houston because that's where I am. So 500 grassroots Black people here in Houston provides us the team that we need to change the spaces where we live and really have Houston politics, Houston business, Houston grassroots operations working to our benefit as opposed to our detriment, because we're not mobilized and organized to make that benefit happen. And of course, the reset is about making that benefit happen on purpose as we deem appropriate, as we deem necessary. Next steps, accept the challenge to come on board and help us reset the community and activate your intellectual capital and your sweat equity. If you're not already a member of the GROW4CARE Alliance, go to our website, GROW4CARE.org, click on contact and become a member. Download the booklet and the solutions guide, because you do need to understand Project 2025. Most people think that Project 2025 is a new thing. Not only is it not new, but this is the 5th edition that they've implemented. They started with Ronald Reagan in 1981, and they've updated and reassessed, recalibrated their efforts, because remember, they are about control, money, and power. So they're always upgrading their plan. We have to understand that so that we can implement our own plan and, of course, upgrade and update our plan. So continue to read the guide so you understand what this thing is about. As you are learning more about what we're doing and what they're doing and why we got to push back and how we're going to push back, make your initial list of 25 people that you know right now today would be interested in helping the Black community in some way. And of that 25, that's where your initial 50 will come from. Continue reading the guide, because I think the more you read, the more you understand, the more you not only appreciate the guide, because there's nothing else like the guide that we've written. There's nothing else like this out there at all. So it's most certainly unique and different in that regard. But again, we give you 30+ solutions that you can help us implement here in Houston or wherever you might be. And as you are continuing to read the guide, add to your initial 25 until you reach 75. The goal is 50. We don't want you to stop at 50. We want you to go over that. But again, if you have 75 and you follow the steps that we've laid out for you to bring that 75 on board, then hopefully at least 50 of them will come on board and we can keep this thing moving, and you can generate some funds for yourself. Invite the 75 to download the booklet, and I'm going to create a step-by-step, hopefully one-page how-to guide on how you can make that happen. The way that I do it and how it works and why it works, I want to make that available to you so that, of course, you can be successful, because your success is our success. The creators of Project 2025 would never stop seeking power. Why? Because it's what they do. It's what they've always done. The lion is never going to wake up and not be a lion. The gazelle is never going to wake up and not be a gazelle. They both understand that I have to put in work today, because if I don't, I'm either going to get eaten, die, destroyed, or I'm going to go hungry and not be sustained. So we have to understand that we are in a natural battle with entities that are not like us. Like Kendrick Lamar says, they are not like us. So the creators of Project 2025 will never stop seeking power, which is why we can never stop seeking power. Most people think that Black people, the Black community, has a lot of problems. We really only have 2. And those 2 problems are the power that white people have or non-Black people have, and the lack of power that we, Black people, have. If we had power, then their power wouldn't be such a big deal, because we'd be able to meet that power head on and further protect and advance our people. But because we don't have power, they're able to do whatever the heck they want to do, because we don't have power to stop it. Everything that's happened to us has happened since we've been here, because we don't have the power to stop it. We have to implement our own power and understand that this is not a one-time implementation kind of thing. This is an ongoing battle with a group of people who are always seeking to own and control and advance their power base. So the same way they would never stop, we can never stop, and we absolutely must understand that this battle will never end. This war that we're born into, we didn't start. We are surrounded on every front, and we are hundreds of years behind on preparing to fight this war. That has to change. That has to change if we're going to have a future worth living, not just in this country, but on this planet, and most certainly creating a future by which our children have lives worth living, and they're not owned and are controlled by other groups, but also our children's children and every generation of Black child yet unborn. This is war. We have to accept that reality, as Brother Barron said, and we got to understand, as Reverend Klieg said, that this thing is about institutional power and control. No one is going to give us what we need to move our people forward. No one's going to give us what we need to build power. No one's going to give us what we need to be bigger, better, and stronger. No one's going to give us what we need to put ourselves in a safe space so that we can grow and expand. No one cares. We have to do that, and we can. Again, everything we need, we already have, but we don't know it because we're not connected, we're not organized, and we don't communicate with one another. We have to change that. We have to reset how the community functions, and Project 2025 will allow us to do that because they want to create chaos. And they are creating chaos because so many of us are distraught about what they're doing, what they're planning, what's coming. We're not taking time to talk about, okay, this is what they're planning. They've made this chess move. Let's make our chess move. There's nothing that we can't do once we put our minds to it. Black people have been inventing since inventing was invented. Everything we do, no matter the significance of it, no matter how small, no matter how large, even something as simple as sagging pants, the world follows what we do. Youth all over the world are sagging their pants because Black youth started sagging their pants. And I understand the history of it coming out of prison, but most kids do it for fashion reasons, and now everybody else does it. Everything we do, we take to another level. I like to tell my people that this would be a boring ass planet if we weren't on it, because we make everything funky. What if we got serious about empowerment, freedom, liberation, and salvation? We'd make that funky too. Why? Because it's what we do by default. So we got to get serious about creating opportunities for our people to not only push back against Project 2025. This is just yet another example of why we need to be mobilized and organized, but push back against the philosophy, system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy and racism anyway. We got to be doing these things anyway. Again, not just for the sake of Project 2025, but for the sake of living in a domestic colony, as Brother Barron illustrated in the first video. So on that note, again, thank you for taking the time to watch this. Get with the person that sent you here to watch this video so they can help you with your first steps to bringing us 50 new people so we can keep this thing going. If I am the one that invited you, get with me so I can help you get this started and get moving, because we do have a lot of work to do and we are most certainly behind. So on that note, again, thank you for taking the time. And always, always, always remember two things. One, no one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. And two, always, always, always remember that nothing is more sacred than the empowerment and freedom of Black people. Because if our people aren't free, you're not going to be free. I'm not going to be free. Our children aren't going to be free. And our loved ones and families and communities aren't going to be free. But if we put the group first, if we put the tribe first, if we put the nation first and build power for the nation, then those that are attached to that nation will also have power. And the nation can not only protect them because it wields power, and it can meet the enemies of the nation head on because we have power. The persons who are benefiting from that protection can help make the nation stronger. The world is out of balance because we, melanated African descendants, are out of balance. So as we get ourselves back into balance, we can bring the world back into balance, and we can keep the evil at bay because that evil most certainly exists. So thank you guys very much. God bless. I hope to see you soon as we continue to build this thing moving forward. And let's continue to create win-wins because it's absolutely wide open for us to do. Thank you very much. God bless, and I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.